Our goal is to celebrate, educate, connect, and build momentum and opportunity around our region's startup community. But before we get started, I know that we're virtual, but we do still want to acknowledge the land on which we gather today. And that is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. And we're grateful to work, learn, and live in this area. And again, this week would not have been made possible without our generous sponsors. So really quickly, I'd like to thank the Province of Ontario, St. Clair College Alumni Association, the Job Shop, Libro Credit Union, Workforce Windsor-Essex, Baker Tilly, Alpha Core, Venture at EPICentre, Small Business Center, Genesis EPICentre, or Entrepreneurship Center, and of course, my family here at WEtech Alliance. We're so excited to have you here today. My name is Adam Fry. I'm the Director of Operations and Partnerships here at WEtech Alliance. And I'm joined, I know I've got a couple of my team members here, but of course, maybe an officially recorded round of applause for Adam Castle, the Business Powerhouse Professional of the Year. Congratulations, Castle.
Yes,
well deserved. I don't think there's another.
Thank you, everyone.
On the planet that works as hard as you do, my friend. So
you're a rock star, Adam.
Today's session's a little bit different though. So what we've been doing so far today, you've seen a lot of fireside chats, a lot of like tools and unique things we were going to be able to do and sort of showcase for you. Today, we're going to get your ideas. We're going to get your take. This is your chance to take the microphone over. You're going to talk to us a little bit about your experiences being an entrepreneur, or what your experience is like working in the entrepreneurship sector or innovation ecosystem here in Windsor-Essex. And we're going to take a kind of structured approach to that. So I'm just going to show you a couple of slides here, and then we're going to jump over to one of my favorite platforms, which is Miro. So again, a couple of things today. So what are we going to be working through today? The goal of these empathize sessions is to facilitate a really valuable discussion between entrepreneurs, startups, innovators, change makers, support organizations, local leaders, community, mostly around the barriers affecting the growth and health of our local innovation ecosystem. And more specifically, we're here to bring everyone together to better understand some of those pains associated with growing a business here locally and what we stand to gain as a community if we're able to solve these problems. And so we're not necessarily here today to put all those solutions out there on the table. We'll have a chance to do that. But the point and the purpose of today is to be able to share our experiences and share what we're doing and how we're working with one another and how we can make our regional innovation ecosystem a little bit stronger. So a couple of ground rules before we get into exactly what this looks like. One, we're not here to complain to each other. This is not a place for complaints. This is a place to discuss opportunities and experiences, okay? So we're going to try to keep this positive the whole way through. Number two, we are not here to solve the problem today. There are a lot of like really interconnected forces happening all around us that, there's a lot of different challenges associated with the growth of different types of businesses. We're here today to talk about the challenges and the opportunities and the gains that might be made if we do. If we don't come out with the perfect solution, perfectly okay. And finally, we're not here for ourselves. And I think that's pretty blatant with the way that Founders Week is rolled out so far. The purpose of this week and the purpose of this session is to make our community better and to give first and to be a little bit, I keep coming back to this word of giving and empathetic with our time. So we're not here for ourselves. We're here to solve problems for our community and understand those challenges. And so today, how is this going to work? Well, what's going to happen now, I'm going to pull up a little Miro board. I've given us a little bit of a head start. And what I'd like to do is go around the table. We're going to do a little bit of an introduction so everybody gets to know who each other is. And then we are going to brainstorm how the heck we're going to make this innovation ecosystem better for everybody. Okay, so I encourage everyone, whether you're a founder, whether you're here as a support organization, whether you're new or old to here, just please share your views with us. We want to know all about that. Before we dive in though, I've got one quick question for everybody for an icebreaker, okay? And I'll go first. The question is, who are you and why are you here at this session tonight? So again, my name's Adam Fry. I'm the Director of Operations and Partnerships at WEtech Alliance. The reason I'm here tonight is that I have a vested interest in the success of all of you as entrepreneurs, as support organizations, and as community members. I know that it's going to take all of us to be able to lift this ecosystem up, and I really want to start to stimulate that dialogue in a really structured way. So that's what brings me here. Sue, how about yourself? Sue Braden?
First of all, I have to say, WEtech, you guys are just killing it. I have been to so many virtual conferences, and this is hands down the best I've ever been to. You kicked Samsung's butt, Google's butt. You're doing everything right. It's nice and tight. You got terrific speakers. You're engaging in all the right ways with your moderators. So way to go. I'm Sue Braden, 58-year-old adventure diva who's kicking cancer's butt for the second time, but now can't be cured and has to find a way to live well with it. So 2 days after my diagnosis, I lost my job, which is something many people did because of the pandemic. And in some ways, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because now I get to go back and figure out how to build a much more authentic life that integrates my work and my personal life better. So my reason for being here today is because I've had the good fortune of accessing a lot of the different parts of the ecosystem in the past, but it's been 5 or 6 years for me and I'm really out of the loop. So chances are there are things there that I just don't know about yet. Today's 3 p.m. session that went through the ecosystem was a huge help with that. So that definitely ticked a box there. And the second thing is because being a boompreneur at 58 years old, I'm doing this in Act 2, which means I bring a lot of assets to the table, but it's a little harder to find resources for women my age. And I'm just hoping to, again, have found some of those answers already. So thank you very much for what you guys are doing. It makes a huge difference.
Thank you so much, Susan. Your views are going to be so valid tonight. I'm so excited to hear from you and to get to understand your point of view a little bit more. Claudius, how about yourself, man? Who are you and what brings you here tonight?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Claudius Thomas, founder and CEO of Prasako Web, owner of Pandacea Health and Safety Compliance Software. I am here because I just love Windsor. I love community. I love giving. I love sharing. I love WEtech. You guys, my goodness, what you've showed me this week, man. I mean, wow, Adam Castle. I don't deal with Adam Fry that much. Adam Castle, man, I was so pleased to see that award given to you because it's just like, yeah, you know, I wish I'd been given the honor to actually pass over that baton and say, this guy rocks. I really would have felt so good.
Well, thank you so much. We're so glad you're here tonight.
Seriously though, to be a part of a community, giving the best that I can, in whatever way I can contribute, learning from one place to then share that with others. In particular, for example, the Black business community is lagging with really knowing how to access resources, how to move forward to develop their businesses, and I'm driven to help them.
Amazing.
That is beginning to actually take hold, because now people are beginning to come to me. You know, they're hearing and they're coming to me to ask for help. So
perfect.
That's why I'm here.
Thank you, Claudius. Much appreciated. Excited to have your take tonight. Karina, how about yourself?
Good evening. I'm not going to repeat myself by saying and what Claudius and Susan, I couldn't agree more. And you guys know WEtech, it's my home. That's where we found our home. So I'm not going to even get into that and get emotional. And Adam, like it's nice to see you appreciate it. Soft skills are not necessarily as well appreciated sometimes in the business role, in a corporate role. So it's nice to see someone that carries those soft skills so upfront to be appreciated like that. And the reason, so I'm a co-founder of Hortaliza, which is the first vertical farm store in Canada. And we aim to change people's relationship with food. And then the way we're trying to do this is through our tiny and mighty microgreens. And the reason why I'm joining you guys is because I have some immutable laws in my life, and me and my partner, we are life and business partner, and some of them we carry it to our business. And one of them is always elevate others. So it doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter if Hortaliza is gonna be my success or my first fail. It doesn't matter. We're always gonna try to elevate people around us with what we're doing now. So if I can add any value to my new community, I'm gonna try to do that. And it was interesting to see Susan bringing her point of view, right? Being a woman at 58, right, Susan, and going through such a beautiful journey. And then Claudia started talking about the Black community. I bring my own perspective of being new to the country and, you know, and starting a business where I have zero connection and learning the language, learning everything. So I think we can all bring our own point of views and trying to make this, you know, as a better community for everyone. So that's why I'm joining you guys.
Amazing. Thank you, Karina. Stephen, how about yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Steve Prasako. I'm the owner of Shift Interiors. Like you, Karina, we're a husband and wife team. We focus on commercial interiors. So we do furniture and architectural glass walls for education spaces, offices, healthcare, all that stuff. I left Windsor in 2007 and had lived in a variety of places. And we moved back about a little over a year ago now. And, I'm here to connect with all, others like yourselves, like-minded individuals, because I'm so excited about everything that everybody's doing here in Windsor. I think there's so many great things happening here, and, I'm just excited to be a part of it. And, I want to meet all you folks and see where I can lend a helping hand and my experiences where they may help you folks. So thanks for having me. It's super exciting to be back in Windsor. And my wife, I'll tell you, she's from the Bay Area in California, and she absolutely loves Windsor. So,
Must be all our great wineries.
It is, so on that note, I'll pass it back to you, Adam. Thanks,
Stephen. Welcome. We're excited to have you. Adriano, I know I saw you on here earlier. You still around? Oh, give you a second. No, Sue Taylor, how about yourself? People a second? No.
I'm coming. Sorry.
Okay, there's Sue.
Sorry. I'm on my phone. I'm running around doing things as I'm listening in. So I am Sue Taylor. I am the program manager of innovation, entrepreneurship and student experience at St. Clair College at the Genesis Entrepreneurship Center. So I am one of the sort of contributors to this event. However, I feel like WEtech is killing it, and I'm so impressed by everything that you guys have done, and I'm very thankful to be on board in this. So I have very much a love of the WEtech team and the Adams and Yvonne and Shreya and everybody who's put in for this week, which has been amazing. Susan, I'm going to speak to you not only as my namesake, but also I have to say that you have been at every event that I have attended this week, which is awesome. So I think we should have some sort of air miles or rewards program, for people who attend most events, for sure.
Radiation therapy and all the other crazy.
I love it. The Susan Award, it's perfect. Yes, let's do that. I'm gonna offer a special prize for that. Anyway, I'm just here just to I love the networking piece part of this, and also just to kind of hear what the needs are and hear what we need working out here as entrepreneurs. So anyway, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for attending. And Adam, the best host we got. So absolutely, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sue. Much appreciated. I know we've got Kat and Mary have just joined us. If you don't mind giving us a little bit about yourselves and about why you're here, what brings you here today?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Kat, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm at my store, so that was why I had my mask on. What was the question?
Just tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you to the session today.
I'm super frazzled. So what brings me to the session is to be less frazzled. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm the owner of Culture Shock Jewelry and Culture Shock Bead Co. So I just opened up the storefront here in Windsor. Quietly, we opened up in June. We just had our grand opening at the end of October. And I've always loved being a part of all the community networking and social events for entrepreneurs. So I was like, I got to try and make it out. So pardon my tardiness, but I just like connecting with other people and providing input and support when I can.
Amazing. Well, thank you everybody so much for being here. I'm incredibly excited. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over here to our Miro board. I'm just going to make sure everybody can see that. Give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay. We're all good. Okay, perfect. So there's a couple of different things that we wanted to talk about tonight. I've jotted a few things down here to get us started. But one of the questions that we're always faced with here at WEtech Alliance is one of the things of how might we actually improve the odds of startup success in Windsor-Essex? And so as we were talking about, formulating this week and trying to understand where everybody's coming from and giving as much value as we could, we realized we wanted a session like this one where we could extract as many experiences, as many sort of data points or stories or even thoughts that you've got about A, what works really well in Windsor, and then B, where are the gaps and where might we be able to improve based on your experiences as a business owner or even a community member or even a service provider. I know we've got a bunch of those around the table again tonight. So I've taken a stab at a couple of different groups. I know we always hear about capital. We always hear about sales and industry connection. We always hear about collision opportunities, mentorships, programming, space. These are things we hear a lot about. I want to dive into each one of those at some point tonight. And I've also got a parking lot space, but let's not restrict ourselves. So I want to give whoever wants a shot here. Let's use the raise hand option and then we'll just jump right in. But does anybody want to start by talking about building their business a little bit in Windsor-Essex, some of their experiences they've had, and a little bit of their opinion on how we might actually improve the odds of startup success here in Windsor-Essex? I'm going to take notes, facilitate the conversation, and we're going to go from there. Anybody? Oh, perfect. Anybody want to take a stab at starting? Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
This is something that I'm starting to see a lot of improvement in since I was doing this 10 years ago. But there are so many amazing silos in Windsor. We've got the EPICentre, we've got WEtech, we've got the Genesis Center. We've got all of these different pieces of the puzzle that when you're starting this journey, as I am again for the first time again, it can be really hard to know where to start. So bridging those silos, that portal, that access, I'm hearing through some of the sessions I've attended this week, it sounds like that's already starting to come together. So if there is sort of a hub where people can say, start here, and that helps guide your journey so that you're in touch with the right people, it can be very overwhelming when you're trying to figure out who to talk to first. Who is the person in my case, older women, boompreneurs? Who do I talk to about potential grants for that? That kind of thing to me would be incredibly helpful if it's not already there, to have that become something that happens. There's a lot of brilliant collaboration between each of your organizations. So just to make that starting point a bit easier for those
Susan,
just jumping in.
Before you go on mute, talk to me a little bit when you're talking about going out and searching for this thing. What are the kinds of things? I know you mentioned like grant opportunities, but what would sort of the types of things be that you'd be looking for in terms of support if it were all under one roof? Like what would those support networks look like to you?
Because this is something I'm going through right now. This is just a personal example that might not be relevant to the other people here, but I'll just share it from my perspective. I got the hard news that this cancer can't be cured this time. I'm metastatic. And so I have to live with this for the rest of my life. Now, hopefully that's a really long life. But one of the things that I want to make sure I'm doing is building a startup that isn't going to kill me. So I'm having to think of a lot of different things. And I'm thinking, who do I know in my network? I know a lot of people that can help me answer some of this. For instance, grants to help me bootstrap because I'm still going through treatments. I've got a bit of a healing pathway, but I want to contribute. I don't want to be a drain on the system. So how do I get started again? A portal that would allow me to figure out who I could talk to that helps me with something as simple as figuring out the grants for sure at the beginning, but also just to know who has each piece of the puzzle. The session at 3 p.m. today was incredibly helpful. I hope that at some point you'll share the slide decks that each of the presenters gave, because Sue Taylor, like each of the constituents from the organizations that spoke, and yourself, Adam, had a ton of great information on those decks. Just having those decks as part of a portal would be really helpful, because I was able to see, okay, here are the programs. For instance, EPICentre has, like, I think Wen had 10 different programs that were available. I'm thinking, oh, wow, I didn't realize I didn't have to be a student at the university or the college anymore to do this. Same thing with Sue Taylor when she talked about the Genesis program. I was pleasantly surprised to find that those things can be accessed by just little old community members like me. So I'm solid on things like the business plan, but there's a lot of people for whom that would be daunting. The Small Business Center has been a phenomenal resource in the past 10 years. They put a lot of mentors in place. So having access to your training calendar. So if I can go into one place and figure out what training is happening around the business canvas model.
Perfect.
Model canvas.
Yeah,
what events are going on? Who can talk to me about funding and help me figure out how to do this right? And some of that may already be there. This may just be because I've been out of this part of it for too long to know where that is, but I'm having a hard time finding it. My first stop would be internet search. Then looking on LinkedIn, who I know. There's people like Yvonne Pedalon who are just in this community an absolute champion for our cause. You've got Sabrina Marco's crew. I'd like one place, a hub.
One-stop shop. One hub, one location. That makes good sense, Sue. And I think you make a good point, right? Virtual is where you're going to start, right? You're going to go to Google. But then after that, if there was a place, right? Some sort of a place. Adriano, I see you're unmuted as well. And you've been around a little bit as well. So do you want to talk a little bit about sort of what your experience has been like and maybe some of those gaps?
I guess, yeah, I know we've been, myself and Pina, who runs Windsor Eats with me. I mean, we've had an idea for something to kind of shift Windsor Eats into with a little bit of a tech component for a while. And one thing that we've just really been struggling with, and we've discussed this with Adam a lot. I feel like I harass him all the time about it, which I apologize, Adam. But was the fact that making that switch just from a regular business into one that is dealing with tech. And having the idea, but not necessarily the funding or the resources to be able to implement it quite yet. But if we want to implement it, how do we do so without essentially giving away our idea to someone else to essentially make the majority of the profit off of? When we know it's a brilliant idea, we know it can work, but how can we implement it without giving it away to someone else is one that we've really struggled with.
And that speaks to a lot too, like, it's not just the transition to a technology company, but it's like IP protection. How do we write up these types of partnership agreements so you can work with technical people without feeling like you're going to get hosed on any type of these assets or on any type of the equity part? I totally get where you're coming from, Adriano. That type of resource allocation. I know Adam Castle's working with a lot of folks right now who are in this diversification of their business model currently, because we know we have to move in that direction here locally, right? A lot of regular businesses in the past are going to have to make this transition to a technology business. So it's something it's a great point, something we should be building in for sure. Claudius, I know you've got your hand up. What have you got for me? Oh, you're muted. 2021, Claudius, we've been doing this for a couple of years now, you know.
I was just being a good guy. Yeah, I think I'll add somewhat to Sue Braden's chat, and maybe if I can hold my thoughts, maybe mention on who just spoke just now as well. However, the main thing for me again is to be consistent with the community reach. Certainly, I have two things going on. I have the Black Boys Code, which has some way to go, where I'm looking that a success that will be measured is those kids, you know, a percentage of those kids make it into college, so St. Clair and or University of Windsor, and to then go and do computer science programs. However, an immediate need today is the number of Black-owned businesses that actually need support. I mean, it's coming to light more and more and more that there's the traders, shopkeepers a lot of the time, you know, not professional businesses, and an ecosystem. I mean, I know this is above WEtech in the sense, and Yvonne and I have worked on this to actually get a solution down here, and we continue to work on it. But having that would actually help, where we then have, we're able to provide the resources or have people tap in. But the main thing with the ecosystem from the perspective of the Black business owners is they will need the type of people, the type of assistance they'll need. I always feel that it goes beyond just how to do a business plan, but tax advisory. You know, you need to pay your taxes to be on. I mean, I was speaking with somebody yesterday, and her accounting is behind. You know, and as the accountant is just giving all her work to the accountant, and it's not been submitted, the work has not been done. And those kinds of things I find a little frustrating, and thinking that we've got to have the right system, right people that are pre-qualified to actually be able to help with, you know, I don't know if this is within the remit of our discussion, but those are the problems I'm seeing on the ground that I would like to provide help.
Really good point. It's a really good point, Claudius. And I'm curious, Karina, as a newcomer to Canada as well, you know, what were there any sort of barriers like that when it came to sort of like actually getting the business up and running, or like what are some of the gaps that you've had so far in building the business?
I don't know if in those terms that Claudius was talking about, tax and maybe because I have a business background and a lot of things are universal, and then you just apply to the local regulations and law. But I could, of course, anyone would need that kind of help, I think, regardless of being Canadian or not. I've been actually thinking about, to Adriano's point, and that I kind of related that point to what Hashim talked in today's session about how, as sometimes the business idea and in someone else's problem, actually it always is, right? All successful startups became from problem solving, right? And having that community that we can throw our problems. And right now I have so many problems that I would love to co-found with other people's solutions for the problems that I have at Hortaliza. And I know now we have the Hive, but because we don't have that, I know COVID makes things harder, and I'm new here as well, so it's gonna take some time to get to the network. And I think Founders Week has been really good at that, like Susan pointed out. But I think having you have that comfortable level that you can throw your problem and create solutions and create other businesses because of the problems you have right now, right? So even today, I talked to a company from Kitchen Waterloo because they are creating a packaging. Packaging, it's a huge problem, right? And if I am to found another company, I think it would be in that. So I'm trying to outsource that problem, right, to another founder. So I think, but we could be doing this here. I just don't know where to go. So I think having this, and in my head, maybe I have big dreams for WEtech as well. And of course, I'm always going to relate to WEtech because I'm your client. I'm not familiar to the other programs, but that's the way I see WEtech in the future, being this and hub, right? That people come to find the like-minded and the like-minded point to Yvonne knows that a lot. We talked about this, I think, 2 times. Is the growth mind, what I want to be and what I want to become. I did not have the nurture, right? The environment around me growing up, or even through my career. So imagine like I'm a duck and I want to be, I don't know, I want to be a bull. So it's hard to get into the bull zone, right? Because you don't have that mindset. I'm trying to become that person. And you can't become that person until you are in that person's environment and around those same, people with the same mindset. So that's another thing, because I've told this a million times, being a small business owner is different than being a startup founder that wants to scale and create something that it can scale. But to Adriana's point, again, right, the transition from a regular business to a tech business, transition, it's a shift in the mindset, and being around people that have that experience, have that like-minded. So I think that's one of the things that have been running through my mind during this session.
Adam and I talk about this a lot in the context of like, we truly believe you're a product of the 5 people you spent the most time with. And so if there's an ability for you to be around other highly growth-minded entrepreneurs almost all the time, there's a much better chance of success. Like, this has been proven out time and time again in the research that this is really the way to do it. And I know that, you know, as a smaller community, as not being, you know, Toronto or Waterloo, like, this is a strategic advantage we can have. Right? We can really bring everybody together. We know everybody. We really do. So this is something that, you know, we can take on and start to build meaningful connection, so that those networks take on a power of their own, right? Is sort of the idea. Stephen, we haven't heard too much from you tonight. Any thoughts on sort of growing your business here locally, some of the experiences that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the things that Susan had mentioned earlier is, you know, where to start. That was, you know, some issues that we had in the beginning is, you know, lawyers and things like that. Who do we go to, and how much should this cost? How much should that cost? Thankfully, you know, we had, you know, my wife has a marketing background, so we could, you know, she could build websites and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really, I think, some of those same issues as Susan had. I wish I was able to attend the 3 o'clock session today. I got on and then I had to jump off for another call. So unfortunately I couldn't be there, but it sounds
we'll send all of them around, I promise. At the end of the week, there'll be a toolkit put together. They'll all be in there for you.
And you've got these sessions on demand as well, don't you? Like, we can go to YouTube and watch the ones we missed, correct?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Fantastic. But yeah, so you know, I guess not thinking to reach out to, you know, the Genesis Center or the EPICentre, or you know, not thinking to even go there, and not realizing that those can be great resources for us. Yeah, those were some of the issues we had starting off, and thankfully we've been fortunate to have business right off the hop too. So we've been very fortunate for that. So that hasn't been too much of an issue. But it's almost the contrary right now. It's thinking about you know, finding the right teams, finding the right people to help support our business growth. You know, is where we're heading right now, what we're thinking about.
And that makes sense. And your story, I think, is one of many new folks here to the region. And, you know, Yvonne puts this so succinctly all the time, is like, we don't know who we don't know. And one of the blessings of the pandemic for Windsor-Essex is there's a lot of talent moving here. There's a lot of new businesses. There's a lot of talented folks coming here to work here remotely. Like, these are the kinds of things that we want to make sure that when you get here, you know where all those things are. You know where to go. We can get you into the fold as quickly as possible, right? So that we can help scale as much as we can. Claudius, I see you've got your hand up again, my man. What you got?
Yeah, so I wanted to piggyback on the IP talk, because I also attended that session earlier, and I previously attended. I've been following a lot of webinars and discussions on IP. An incident happened on Monday at EPICentre where I've been thinking about it a lot since, where someone came over to me and asked me a lot of questions about what I did, Pandacea, and it turned out, and then we went into the session, and then I found out afterwards that the person that was asking me a lot about Pandacea happens to be a founder and CEO of a product that is in the same space. So that's a subject I'm going to bring back when we talk next week, because I was thinking, ooh, okay. It's left me a little nervous, but at the same time, well, there's more than one car manufacturer, so, you know, so what does it matter? Mm-hmm. But he came at me, and I have to look back and say it was quite deliberate what he was doing. He clearly knew me, so I guess I also need to know who's on the market space for me to do the same.
I think for us, Claudius, it's about understanding how to protect yourself in those situations, right? And what those types of things mean and how to set your company up in such a way that you're okay to do it. Much like Adriano's point earlier is, if I'm going to switch to a technology company now, all of a sudden, what do I protect? How do I do it? How do I not spend $25,000 to get a patent that I'm not sure actually does the thing I need it to do, right? Those are resources and things that we need to be able to unlock for you in order to actually help your business scale without having to go through the pain of doing that. And welcome, Alex. I don't mean to leave you out. If you wanted to chime in at all, please, by all means, let us know what some of your thoughts are on sort of growing a company here locally.
Oh, well, we are finding local resources that we, and this is my mom.
Nice to meet you.
So then we, you know, we're Chinese, that we want to find some local resources to kind of find, build like a lithium ion factory, something like that. That's a proposal. So I don't know whether I'm able to find like similar this kind of resources.
Okay.
So that's roughly or generally the purpose.
Nice. Awesome. Well, welcome, Alex. And so, Castle, do you mind dropping the become a client in the chat for Alex? I think that might be the best part to start, Alex. We'll drop a link for you in there. You can become a client. We'll see if we can figure that out for you. That's a challenging one. I don't hear that one very often, the finding the iron plant, but we'll see what we can do for you. So thank you, Castle. Much appreciated. So what I'd love to do now, because we, believe it or not, we've only really got about 10 minutes left in our dialogue here for tonight. So what I'd really like to do is fill out some of the things around here. So I'd love to go rapid fire around the table and talk a little bit about what kind of supports you would need around these types of pieces. So I want to start with industry connections and sales. So when we're talking about getting those first sales, getting to market, going out and actually finding those customers, you know, the lifeblood of our businesses, talk to me a little bit about how you do it and what we could do to help you skip those steps. What is it that we could do to really help you ramp up some of those new markets, some of those new sales, connections to industry? What does that look like? Be very specific. Karina, you did the hands clapping thing, so you get to go first.
Oh, that wasn't the
the raise
was
hand.
the wrong hand. Okay, I'm sorry. So to that sales point, a lot of my mistakes or failures or things that maybe I could have learned prior to putting resources into is learning more about how this county works, right? And that's 100% my responsibility, my fault. And going a little bit like tying that to the network piece, I think that you guys provide so many useful resources, but I tried when I got here to connect to people and invite people for coffee, and it was really hard. I know COVID made things harder, but it was really hard because people have a busy life. And I had, I forgot her name, the one that founded the Shred Inc.
Mm-hmm.
And someone asked her, why is it so great to start a business in Windsor? And she said, it was great because it was home. I knew everyone. It was like I had a network, and I didn't realize to that point, like I knew it would be hard to start a business in a different country. And I think regardless of being a different country, I could have been coming from Nova Scotia. I think it would be the same challenge. It's yes, it is hard to have a zero connection. And I tried. So I think if I had like an onboarding session of like people that, a lineup of people that would be willing to go for coffee and talk, because I made a lot of mistakes and that affected my sales. One example, because you wanted like a clear example, downtown Windsor Farmers Market. I had no idea how that is relevant to starting a business in YQG. That's not part of my culture. Like I grew up in big cities. Like I did not have a clue that a lot of business here started that way. That maybe I should have gone there first, you know? So if I had lived here a little bit longer or have been able to build relationships or friendships and learned a little bit more, but it's hard. Like it seriously is not victimizing. It's hard to get to know people. It's hard to bring in people to sit down with you. So that onboarding session that maybe a little bit more information that people would be willing to share could have saved me a lot of trouble.
So I heard two things there, Karina, that I jotted down that I think are really important. One, how does the ecosystem actually work? Finding a way to really either visualize this or like meaningfully collide the ecosystem with clients so that they understand where they should go, how this should work. That navigation part's been important. But I think something else that I heard out of your piece is, how do we expand our network to our clients, right? I always joke that Adam Castle probably has the best LinkedIn following in the history of all time. If you need to know somebody, that guy knows them. That he literally knows who that person is. How do we take that and get it to our clients in a meaningful way at the right time for us? So I'm going to jot those two notes down from that. Kat, I saw your hand was up. If you don't mind jumping in with your point.
Hi. You can hear me, right? I don't know if you can see me. I'm sitting in a car now. I'm on the move. But thinking about that initial sales and the challenge that I'm having now is that I have years of customer service experience, but to train my employees in that same vein, I am at a loss. Like, I don't have a training module. I don't know who to go to be like, here's someone in can do basic customer service, because you learn those skills in a lot of like beginning entry-level retail jobs, but to actually structure it to my business, I don't have that. So to make those first sales, I need my staff to be trained to do it. And I haven't connected those dots yet.
I think that's a great point, Kat. And for us, a lot of the training that's designed here locally is really for founders, right? Like we talk about working with you directly, but so often we don't really think about like, how do we help you train your employees, right? We've tried a couple of little things here and there to do that, but I think that's really good feedback that it's not just about the founders, but about the founding teams and those first hires. Like, how do we get them ramped up to speed too, so that we don't leave them behind? Claudius, I see your hands up there.
Yes, I'm talking a lot, I've been doing some work recently, and I've come to a conclusion that I believe clear on it with regard to challenge for the sales side of things. I voiced this with Adam last week, actually, and we're going to continue on it. And that is, I've been around a long time, so what I've always been able to do is going after the sales people to close the deal. So the engage to get the interest in the product, in the solution.
Okay.
It's a bridge. So it's a very, very tall, long, wide bridge. But me going in after that interest is raised, oh yeah, show me, talk to me, tell me about it. I can come in and do that. Stand on a podium and do the deal and talk about it and say, here's how it works. A day, when I was in insurance, I used to do a day in the life of the insurance adjuster.
Right, exactly.
But how do I get the insurance adjusters in the room? The sales guy gets them, fills up the room, then I come in and do that.
Amazing.
So that's a huge bridge.
Getting through that front door, right? How do we help our clients get through the front door, right? To get to the person they need to get to.
Right. And that is not me. I just, to sit down and, yes, okay, I collect all of the targets, people, get all the persona right and everything. This is the 20 people, 50 people, 100 people. And then to start telling them, oh, by the way, no.
I hear you, Claudius. It's a battle out there, man. It's an absolute battle. Adriano, I see you got your hand up as well. What have you got for me?
Yeah. We've sort of figured this out now, but it would have been, mind you, when we started, I was fairly young, but jumping into things right off the bat, we had no clue, especially going into a market where we were the very first in the region to be doing certain things, what to price things as, what our proper calculation of expenses were to make sure that we were properly pricing things. And we made a lot of errors on that end when we were first starting, as to like what our product should cost, because when we started our cycling tours to the wineries, there were no cycling tours anywhere from here to Niagara with that price range, which are two completely different markets. And then, taking in what the proper expenses were going to be through all that, calculating the proper insurance, everything, every little detail along that. We've created our own spreadsheet now that for any event that we're creating, it calculates all of our expenses and what our guesstimated price should be for the product. And we help other businesses that are doing tourism products with that as well. But something like that right off the get-go, that would have been very helpful. But even to the flip side, as on the other side as well, is that because I think I just saw a stat recently that said like 70% of all entrepreneurs in the United States started at-home businesses. Or 69% or something like that in 2016, I think it was. But as you're making that transition from a home business to a brick and mortar, now what are the true expenses and the real expenses and every little expense that you should be calculating for, so you're not going in there with any surprises and realizing a month in when certain bills are due, shit, I completely forgot about that to calculate that. Yeah, I missed that in my calculations, and having expenses much higher than what you were initially planning for in your plan.
And I think, Adriano, this speaks to a really important point, which is that, just because you're the founder doesn't mean that your skill set is all the things it needs to be, right? Like a lot of times, if you're a technical co-founder, you could give a crap about how much it costs to do anything, right? Or for yourselves, you're in tourism, right? You're like, it's about the experience, right? Like the experience needs to be bang on, right? Like those types of things.
Don't ever talk to me about accounting because my eyes will just glaze right over. So that's like, I know that's my weakness right there. And we pass that on and hire someone for it.
Exactly. Susan, go ahead.
3 resources to share very quickly. Kat mentioned the training component for sales. Hubspot has some phenomenal free resources to help you pick up even the hardest parts and make your eyes glaze over. The second thing is LinkedIn Learning. It is worth the price of admission to spend $60.99 a month for a LinkedIn Pro account if you don't have one already, because the LinkedIn Learning resources allow you to tap into some of the best mentors in the world across every single sector and every single resource. So if you're looking for sales training, or if you're looking for, just about anything, that stuff is there in spades. Yep. The third thing is, as a Better World Scout, I've built my 35, 40-year career on asking 2 questions. What works? How can we do more of that? So the Windsor-Essex ecosystem is amazing. There are other ecosystems that we can borrow best practices from. And one that I really have found a great deal of value in is looking to the US at the US Department of Commerce's SBC. They are the best kind of hub imaginable in the US because you can tap into cash revenue resources. You can tap into mentoring. You can it's driven nationally, but drills right down to the community level. And what got me thinking about that was something Claudia said about having the issues with minority access. And they've done a really good job. They have a branch in particular called the Minority Business Development Agency. And I tucked a link into public chat for Claudius with this. I did a mentoring series, I think 4 or 5 series that I tucked in on LinkedIn, but that link will go to that one specifically. There is a ton of great resources for minority communities who actually carry the US economy and got them out of the last recession. So I think thinking about those things, not just getting stuck with what can we do in Windsor, but what's been done in other communities that works really well there, where we can borrow those best practices and bring them in. I think that's a good place to look.
Amazing. Great points, Susan. And one of our best partners is actually Hubspot. I think we refer every single client. If you're looking for a CRM, part of our perks is 90% off of Hubspot CRM. And I think I'm a true believer. It's unbelievable technology. Karina, go ahead.
2 things. One is, if we don't get enough time to check their mentorship, yes, help us find mentors. That's one thing that I'm actively trying now. But then if there was like a way to, I'm going to start asking everyone that I really admire to see if I can get a mentor locally. But if you guys could have that, right, make that bridge, I think that would help a lot. And because we need mentors. And to Adriana's point, another thing is, I know you guys give your VST resources. That's an amazing job in connect us to. You talked about expanding your network to our clients, but why clients don't help out clients. Like Adriana was talking about pricing. I'm passionate about pricing. Like if I knew Adriana before, like, can you help me with something? Can you help me understand how Windsor works, and I'll help you with pricing. So maybe we have a list of what you're really good at and that you'll be willing to give out hours. And we have that exchange, you know, like I help with something that I'm really good at, and you help me with something you were really good at among clients, you know.
I think that's wonderful. I would absolutely welcome that. I mean, I think of even the people on this call and the like wide swath of skill sets we all have, and how we'd all be able to help one another. And so, you know, that comes to one thing, and I know we're short on time. I wish we could keep this thing going for a long period of time, but you know, when I think about that, and Karina, in the places that I've been able to go and do that at, space has been a really core component. I think we can all kind of agree here, we're a pretty dispersed region, right? Like if you think about it, Karina's out in Kingsville.
I do mean Kingsville. I'm alone here.
Yeah, she's very
I'm
much
alone.
Isolated out there. I'm in Essex, right? So all of these things, we're all quite dispersed. And so that density, that ability to have that place where, like Susan said, not only do you get to go and figure out where to start, and you'd only have to tell your story once, but B, you get connected with all the other entrepreneurs that are there, that are in your stage, that want to grow. I think these are really important things that we need to start to think about in a very serious manner, because that's what attracts capital. And it really does. Scaling companies is what attracts capital to a region. And so finding those people to push each other and actually go out there and go after it and start to scale, that's what's going to bring us capital. That's what's going to bring us industry sales, better mentors. Like I got to tell you, it all comes from the unbelievably hard work that you all put in to run your businesses. And like, that's the reason we exist. That's the reason we're here. So I want to give everyone one more round here. Does anybody have anything they want to add? I know we've got a lot that we still need to uncover, and maybe we'll hold a couple more of these brainstorming chats if people are really interested in them. But I'd love to just go around and do one more with a couple and see if everyone's got some final thoughts. Go ahead, Claudius. We'll start with you, and then we'll go to Kat.
Yeah, I just want to. This is for Adriano. The point of what price for your goods or service. Extremely difficult. I mean, ultimately, you're looking for, you may be familiar with the term, it's really to work out the cost of good, it's called COGS, cost of goods sold, or cost of, so you need to work out the cost. I mean, you might be, I apologize if I'm telling you something you're already familiar with. You know, certainly the cost of what it costs you to provide the service. And then ultimately from that, I mean, what I've found that it even makes sense once you know truly what it, I mean, it's difficult to work out what it costs. And then from that, put a high price on it from which you can discount down if discount applies to your industry, for example. But without knowing what it costs you is extremely difficult.
Claudius, we're going to rope you in as a mentor to walk everybody through it, pal, now that you've got your hand up. Kat, what have you got for us as a final thought here?
60 minutes are too short. I've learned this for virtual events at the university where I work as well. 90 minutes has got to be like the minimum for sessions.
All right, I'll add that to the working group here. You heard it here first. That means you got to work longer.
All right.
With it. Awesome. Thanks so much. Karina, is your hand still up for a final thought, or anybody else?
Oh, I think I just forgot it there, but it might be just a personal, I try not to extrapolate my individual needs. I try to think of needs that other people could have, but there's a specific need, which is childcare for founders.
Yes.
It's a huge toll on my, like, I'm a family business, all in, no income, and that is a struggle. It's a struggle starting a business with no support and having to pay for the little support we have. So if we can have a daycare, childcare, subsidy for founders specific, there are some resources for sole proprietorship, more like tradespeople, but like for founders. So that maybe that can help other people too, or too specific for me.
That's a great one. No, I think I know Castle can probably speak to this. Our Zoom calls are filled with little ones. Every day it's filled with little ones, and you can just, you know, you can see the stress wearing on these mothers and fathers all around our county going through this. And like, you know, it's one of those things we got to get figured out. Otherwise, we're going to lose a lot of really great founders here. Susan, please, by all means.
One quick thought for Karina. I tucked something into the comments here, but I'm not sure if you see it. And at Women's Enterprise Skills Training West, the women at that organization are phenomenal. You'll not only find mentors, but people that can absolutely hook you up. So that's worth a call. But the other thing was something that she just made me think of, and that is benefits. I'm in a situation where I no longer have an income or benefits.
Yep.
And when you're starting out when you're in a startup, unless you're to the point where you've got 5 employees or more, you can't really have a benefits program, group benefits or something that are elusive. I've looked at the Windsor-Essex Chamber of Commerce, which is another rocket ship resource here in the area. They have something that goes part of the way, but not much. So, I mean, it may be a pipe dream, but the idea of having a collaborative, a portal might also be to find a way to have group benefits through something like whatever this ecosystem is.
Susan, when we were starting Textbooks for Change, the startup I had in Toronto a few years ago, that was one of the first things we looked into. I know back then, and again, this was dating myself about 8 years ago, we did find one. So let me see if I can dig that up and see if I can't get it in the toolbox for
I had this conversation with a financial advisor because I do a lot of work with women and kids at risk. And there are a lot of women that we help try to bootstrap in, for instance, domestic abuse shelters to get back on their feet. But the barriers are high, and this is one of the big ones. So if that problem can be solved at any point, that's going to be huge.
Okay, let me see if I can find you something. Sue Taylor, I see you've jumped on. You got something for us?
I can speak to actually that. So I came from as an entrepreneur before I was at the college, and again, benefits were an issue. If you call Green Shield, they have something called Prism Spectra, and that basically takes all individuals and puts them into their own group. So you get group benefits through Green Shield, which are actually based as putting you all in one group as if you were coming from one company. And then also to Karina's point, and I know, Susan, you mentioned West. So I am actually one of the mentors for West. They have partnered with Women of Windsor Mentorship Collaborative. So I'm a part of that. And so I'll go in and teach workshops and provide mentorship for those women as well. So if you want to connect with me, I can throw my email in the chat, and then I can either speak with you about that on that behalf or connect you with somebody. So again, I grew up in Windsor. I've been here my whole life. So I've been here a lot of years, a lot more than most of you. And so I have a great network and can connect you with kind of some of those people. So if you want to connect with me, I can kind of help you with that. So
amazing. Thank you, Sue. Adriano, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm sure this is an issue for everyone right now. But the whole thing, 'cause I think it's going to be around for a while. The fact of we're currently struggling with how do we ramp up, how do we grow when we can't find staffing to grow? It's a really huge issue that we've had the last couple of years now. But I mean, aside from saying you're going to be paying them more money and giving them benefits and things like that, it's still just a struggle even finding people to work.
That's a great point, Adriano. And it's one that we've heard across the spectrum. Doesn't matter whether it's small business or industry wide, like these are big challenges we need to figure out from the talent perspective, something we're really trying to dig into right now. But thank you for bringing that to the table. I'll make sure that gets on the Miro board. I know that we're right up against it, everybody. So I just want to take a second, thank all of you so much for being here. Great discussion, Zoom, over online. It was a little bit later in the evening. So thanks for bringing the energy, for bringing all of your experiences. I know that most of the WEtech team is actually here with us tonight. So I know hearing all of this was amazing for them. So I just want to say thank you one last time. If you need anything else, that chat is packed full of stuff. We're going to make sure that all gets in the toolbox for you by the end of the week. And I hope that you get a chance to see all of the other sessions that we've got for Founders Week. Come on out to Failure Night if you can, or at least tune in. There's gonna be some wonderful stories. I'm going to talk about all the times I messed up growing Textbooks for Change to open us up. So it should be a lot of fun. And then next week, if you're really interested, Karina's going to be participating. Adam's going to be hosting. We've got our Scale Up Wrap Up. So these are our top 5 companies that have been really rapidly scaling for the last 4 months and growing as fast as they possibly can. Want to take a look at what that journey looks like? please tune in, take a look at it. It's something we're very, very proud of. So that'll be next Thursday, but just want to take a chance and say thank you once again and enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody.
You guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much for all the value you're adding for all of us.
No
Mwah.
problem.
Did you get the
Before
picture?
everyone goes, yes.
Good night.
Oh,
Three,
sorry.
five.
Yes, picture. Sorry, that's me. I'm terrible at that. If anybody else wants to flip their camera on to be in the photo, maybe give everybody a couple seconds here. Did anybody else want to jump in? I know there's a few others that were here. There's Tashlin. I know there's a few others. Sue. Perfect. All right. We're going to go and, well, Shreya, you count us down. You go ahead.
Perfect. Give me just one quick second.
I've been holding this for so long.
Yeah, cat's like.
Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Thanks,
By the
everybody.
way,
Enjoy your
Kat,
evening.
you rock.
I think we got Abe's
Everyone.
dog in there too.
I do love
Fantastic.
that we have Adriano's dog in there. That's wonderful.
Thanks all.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Go celebrate, Adam.
Congratulations.